going on, you guys? Rasati out here. Back at it, chilling in Singapore. We're not locked down, but we are being asked to just stare asses at home, not be out in public. I know people are freaking out right now because they have decided not to allow the nightclubs and the bars to be open because they don't want more than a certain number of people gathering in any particular place. So things are changing, and we're finding out who is able to occupy themselves and who is kind of starting to crawl the walls already. Anyway, I wanted to discuss a concept that I noticed myself because I'm a big fan of Lumosity. So Lumosity is an app that allows you to brain train basically using games and stuff. So it's, time management, how quickly can you change the way you think? So like patterns, changing patterns, being able to think and read and respond at the same time, even though what you're seeing is different from the colors. It's a lot of different games. I love them. So generally speaking, the free version gives you three different games every day to play. And the paid version has five different games, and you have access to retrain some of those games over and over again. So it's trying to give you this whole package of how to actually train your brain as far as focus, as far as thinking, as far as responsivity, not responsibility, but responsiveness. And it's been amazing. I really, really enjoy it. It's one of those things that I do first thing in the morning. Once my general work is done, as in like get baby girl off to school, come back home, and the first thing I do for fun, for me, is about 15 minutes of Lumosity. So, been enjoying that. But what I've noticed is I'm great until I make my first mistake. And then the pressure kind of sets in. It's almost like that concept of quicksand. So a lot of times they talk about quicksand when it comes to sports, when it comes to the military, when it comes to anything where you really need to focus somewhere. And the concept being that you're good when the momentum is good, it's going in a positive direction. But the minute you make a mistake, you start being aware of the fact that you are capable of making a mistake and how you feel bad about the fact that you made a mistake and kind of broke your streak. And then suddenly your focus has been altered. So you've changed trajectory on your momentum, and you're more likely to make more mistakes once you've made that first mistake. It's almost like, that concept when you go out drinking and stuff, the minute you go to the bathroom the first time, suddenly after that, you feel like you have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. It's like breaking the seal is the concept there, right? But the same thing here, it's the idea of quicksand. The moment you realize that you made a mistake, suddenly you make more and more mistakes, and they're silly mistakes. You can see that it's the right answer, but you choose the wrong one anyway. Like it's silly things like that. A lot of my focus has been drawn toward that concept lately because I'm pretty good at certain games. And then the minute I make one mistake, it becomes another, another, another. And a lot of times I want to quit the game and start over because I want to reset that streak that I started off with and see if I can make a better score. I'm very competitive with myself, so once I've set the bar somewhere, I want to make sure that I beat it every time. So I get kind of dejected when I make a mistake. But the same thing occurs in relationships, in your workflow as well. The moment you do something really well, maybe you've got, you're in the groove of writing blog posts and you're doing really well with your thumbnails, your YouTube, all that stuff is going, and suddenly you take a break or something happens where it kind of interjects your scheduling, like the way you've got everything set up, and suddenly you have to rejig everything, right? You have to change the format, or you need to, okay, for instance, I've been really good about doing live podcasts every night, no problem, until the day that I went to go do a live audio and the function wasn't there anymore. I mean, Facebook doesn't have to tell me when they change these things, but I was kind of upset. So after that, I kind of I don't know if it was like a sulking or I was just throwing a temper tantrum, but for a couple days, I didn't touch Facebook. I knew what the workaround was. I could have gone live and shown my face and done the podcast anyway. And then the same process would have been there. I would have had to download the video, rip the audio, add it to, SoundCloud and Spotify and all that stuff. And I could have done that. But nah, the convenience changed. And so rather than alter the way I'm doing things, I just stopped for a while. Same thing happens with workouts. I love working out. I'm kind of obsessed with working out. And it's one of those things where I become a workaholic until that rest day happens. And then it becomes a rest week and a rest month, and I have to start all over again and rebuild the momentum. So quicksand for me is a real problem. For me, I don't know about you. If you have any of these issues, please let me know in the comments. I would love to talk to you guys as well. But the point being that I need to know that about myself in order to know that there's something to fix, that I need to pay attention to, that I need to be aware of, and I need to make not really security measures, but I need to put in place a plan if I do go off my schedule, if I do lose the momentum somehow. A lot of times it means that I need to brush it off. Let's give you another example, shall we? Maybe for a while you've been feeling great. You feel sexy, you feel brilliant, you feel like you've accomplished so much, you're on top of the world, and maybe one of your close friends and you get into a tiff and it doesn't end the way that you would like. You don't have, a smooth ending or closure to the argument or the discussion or whatever, and maybe for some reason you can't get back in touch with them to get that closure that you need. And suddenly your whole momentum has changed because you were feeling really great and you feel crappy about this one thing, and suddenly that's all that you can think about. And it's hard to get back on track, back into that groove of feeling good about things. I know in the past when I've been in relationships, I'll feel really great and I'll feel like I'm pretty attractive and that I'm pretty, appreciated and people want to be around me or whatever. And then something will happen with my significant other where I assume that they're upset with me. I don't get the opportunity to ask them or clarify about it, maybe because I'm afraid, maybe because they're not actually available. And then suddenly my entire thought process is surrounding this one incident. It takes me a couple of days to come out of. Sometimes I need to complain for a couple hours. Maybe I need to call like all my people on my list and go through the scenario over and over again until I'm tired of thinking about it. Or maybe instead of feeling like less of myself, I feel angry. I feel like I want to really rip somebody's head off and really get angry and throw a temper tantrum and stuff. And sometimes until that anger dissipates, I'm kind of caught up in it. The trajectory moved, the momentum changed, and how I respond is something I need to know about myself. Because if I don't know how to save myself from those things, I will constantly need someone else to save me. And that's not always the kind of position you want to be in. I'm not saying be so independent you don't need nobody. That's not what I'm saying at all. But sometimes you need to be able to pull yourself out of a rut in case your go-to people aren't available. There have been so many times where I'm upset, I'm on the verge of tears. I really, really just need someone to talk to because I can't tell if I'm freaking out, or I need someone to help me remind me that I am worth my weight in salt, that I am a good person, or whatever the case may be. And I reach out and I go to talk to my brother and he's not there. He hasn't answered the phone. He doesn't call me back. And I'm over here like, oh my God, this adds to my drama and dilemma. And maybe I was already feeling low, and the fact that he didn't answer me adds to that. Well, I'm not important enough for him to even answer, and watch, he's not even going to call me. And I get into this rant mode, right? In those moments, I have to find a way to pick myself back up, or this is going to last a couple of days and going to throw everything else off instead. I have known people, clients of mine, friends, family members who get into situations where they get upset with the person they love the most, whether it's a brother, sister, friend, spouse, parent, whatever. They get into a tiff with somebody and suddenly everything comes to a screeching halt, and they can't get over this one incident where you still have to go punching at work, you still have to get, your deadlines met, you still have to turn in papers, you still have to take care of your kids, but this one situation is kind of like boggling your entire being, and you come to a screeching halt. In those moments though, you need someone or something that you can kind of anchor yourself onto and kind of climb back onto a place or a mindset where you feel good enough to be able to carry on a little bit. It's really hard to do. The hardest thing in the world to do is to get out of that quicksand. How do you anchor yourself? How do you stop from struggling and sinking further into the quicksand? You need a strategy. But in order to get that strategy, you need to know yourself. Self-awareness is so important in this situation. Now, for me, if I call my brother and he doesn't answer, I usually try and call my mom. And if she doesn't answer, which this has happened a lot, I have to figure it out for myself. I know for me, I need to overload myself with that same feeling until I can't feel it anymore, until it's like too much for me and I want to move on. So if I'm feeling sad, I need something that's going to help me cry. If I'm feeling angry, I need to be able to expel some of that angry energy, that aggravation. I need to be able to dispel it, to get rid of it somehow. So sometimes it's angry music where I'm like frowning or screaming or whatever the music tends to be. But the point being that I need to be able to get that out of my system. It's almost like fast forwarding so that I can get over it already. And not to say get over it as in like I sweep it under the rug, but I need to be able to think clearly. And I'm a big believer in the fact that you can't feel and think clearly at the same time. So for me, I know I need to speed up the process. I need to overload my system so I can reset almost. I need to cry. Cry like ugly cry and blow my nose and just cry until I can't cry anymore, until I'm done. And now I'm like, okay, all that's out. What do I do now? So, if you need help trying to figure out what your processes are, what your go-to reactions are in certain situations, please, by all means, hit me up, send me messages, write your questions or comments and concerns in the question box below, and I'll get to you. But in the meantime, understand that if you don't know yourself, you're going to be swept along with the roller coaster of emotions of everyday life, regardless. And there's nothing worse than feeling like you're caught in a current that you can't control. All right. So I'm hoping you understand. If you have any questions, again, please hit me up. But in the meantime, you guys, stay safe and try to find some peace. I'll catch you soon. Bye.